In 3 months, it will have been 1 year since Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at a Turning Point USA event in Utah. And since then, countless theories have arisen about his death and the circumstances surrounding it. Most of those closest to Charlie immediately accepted the official narrative and berated the few closest to him that didn't. But regardless, theories flourished, and we now find ourselves with an almost endless supply of them. As soon as one theory is starting to die down, another one pops up in its place. So today, we're cataloging every known major theory surrounding his death, the official timeline, the strange anomalies, and all the major explanations people are putting forward. So welcome to the 99th Meridian, the ledger for the 99%. I'm Jacob Eddy, and every week we go deep on the stories they don't want connected. Secret societies, the paranormal, psyops, high strangeness, occultism, and everything in between. We lay out the official story, the anomalies, all the major theories that are out there in my own research connections. No gatekeeping, no hysteria, just the ledger. And real quickly, I gotta say a couple things and then we'll get right into the story. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the individual host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy position or views of the 99th Meridian. All information is for entertainment purposes only. Please be advised that this episode contains discussions on highly sensitive and controversial topics. The following conversation includes strong language, frank discussions, and/or depictions of events that some listeners may find offensive, disturbing, or triggering. Listener discretion is advised. So buckle in, because today we're cataloging each and every known theory surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk. We're going to start off by going over the quote-unquote official narrative and the facts that have been presented to the public. So alright, let's get right into it. This is exactly how the official story goes. So Tyler Robinson hit a full 4-foot-long scoped Mauser Model 98 rifle in his backpacker pants, casually walked past Charlie Kirk's $1 million security team, and climbed an unguarded staircase to a rooftop directly overlooking the stage. Up there, he used a screwdriver to reassemble the rifle. Then he fired a single .30-06 round from about 200 yards away, the kind of bullet that normally punches straight through an elk. But this one magically stopped on Charlie's neck, like an act of divine intervention. While all this is happening, an old man named George Zen jumps up and starts yelling, "I did it, shoot me," to supposedly help the shooter escape. But yeah, don't look into that too hard. And by the way, Tyler Robinson was a groyper. Wait, no, a left extremist. And his roommate was... wait, never mind. After the shot, Robinson disassembled the rifle in just a few seconds, faster than any professional can do it, left the screwdriver behind, and jumped off the roof. The FBI even released surveillance video of him jumping, but for some reason, they didn't include the clear view of the actual shooting position. Reasons, I guess. He ran into the woods, reassembled the rifle again, this time without the screwdriver, obviously, and then went and got a nice milkshake at Dairy Queen. Finally, he sat down and typed out a full, calm confession text to his roommate that read supernaturally for a 23-year-old who just assassinated a major public figure. That's the complete official story they're running with. Now, before we dive into the alternative theories, let's go over everything that's wrong with the story I just told you. The first and foremost obvious being the ATF report that couldn't definitively match the bullet fragment recovered from the scene to the alleged murder weapon. Now, this isn't the smoking gun that some people have made it out to be, but nothing on this list truly is. No single inconsistency or weirdness surrounding the official story is a bombshell in and of itself. But you start to stack them all together, the chances of each and every one of them simply being a coincidence greatly decreases. The next inconsistency was the initial report that there were multiple DNA profiles found on the weapon. It's pretty hard to find anything on this anymore, but there still are headlines out there that show that it was talked about and it was reported. The next one goes directly into the weapon itself. The fact that the alleged setup of the Mauser, where the scope was mounted and its relation to the safety, doesn't make logical sense. Speaking of the weapon, we have never been shown video of Robinson with the fully assembled rifle. And then we get into the bullet casings and the phrases written on them. Things like, "Hey fascist, catch," and other phrases that conveniently push political agendas. The recovery of the weapon itself is next. It was not found during the initial search, even though dogs were present. It was only found later, where it was located in the backyard of a Palantir employee. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Robinson's planning comes next, or should I say, the lack of it, because according to the official narrative, he only planned for about a week. Pretty concise for a 22-year-old kid. Next up, we have the text conversation and alleged confession by Robinson to his roommate or partner. If you've read them yourself, which is easy to do and find online, you know what I mean when I say, it seems too good to be true. It usually is. The 4-hour gap is our next inconsistency. Where exactly was Robinson from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. when the shooting took place? He was shown to have arrived on campus at 8 a.m., but is not seen again until shortly before the shooting. Now let's get into the people and behaviors surrounding Charlie during the event. Firstly, for a $1 million security team, they did a pretty bad job. No tickets checked, no metal detector, no clearing of nearby roofs and vantage points. But they did have drones. Why those drones didn't catch Robinson when even people on the crowd spotted him on the roof, we will never know. And then we have the weirdness of a security team and the hand signals they were seemingly giving leading directly up to the shooting and directly after. Not only hand signals though, we have Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, immediately on the phone with his dad literally seconds after the shooting. But none of that should matter, because there was a camera directly behind Charlie the entire time. Except, it was removed along with its SD card within minutes of the shooting. But not only did they get rid of the video evidence, they literally paved over the entire crime scene within weeks. Nothing to see here. And then, we have the actual gunshot itself. According to the official narrative, Charlie Kirk had bones of steel that stopped a bullet that can shoot through an elk. But never mind the bullet, as there's plenty of convincing evidence that seems to show that it might not have been a bullet at all, but rather his own mic exploding. And then immediately after, we have not but one, but two different people taking responsibility for the shooting, which proved to only give the actual killer time to escape. Remember, conspiracies don't happen the way you've been told. They don't need everyone involved to be in on it. Certainly the firefighters that responded to the World Trade Center were not aware of 9/11, and that works in their favor. Compartmentalization is the name of the game. Only certain people know certain things, and some people don't even realize what they know. Now, let's get into the alternative theories, the ones that honestly make a lot more sense than the one we went over. Because there are just so many theories out there about all the different aspects of this case, I'm going to break it down in a way that won't take me a year to tell you. First, we'll look into the most likely base theory and branch off from there based on suspects and motives. That first base theory being, Tyler Robinson was where we've been told, but he wasn't the one who took the shot. He would be what we call a Patsy. He was somehow convinced, whether through online radicalization, some sort of MK Ultra offshoot, MK often, or something or someone to be where he was and bring what he brought. I personally believe he was a Patsy, but not knowingly. I think it has something to do along the lines of MK Ultra / mind control stuff, but that's a whole nother video. Him being there with a weapon and all the other possibly created circumstantial evidence provides whatever person or group of people the perfect scapegoat. Very similar to the JFK inquiry ending after the arrest of Lee Harvey Oswald. When something is too good to be true, it usually is. However cliche that is, though, it is true. Now, who would possibly benefit from taking out Charlie Kirk and having Robinson as a patsy? First, in no particular order, we have Charlie's own Turning Point USA and his security team on that day. Their possible motives? Firstly, it could have been Charlie's change in stance on Israel/Zionism. We know there are people within TPUSA that have strong ties to Israel and were most likely not happy with Charlie's epiphany. Secondly, the motive could have been an internal power struggle and attempted financial consolidation of TPUSA. Maybe there was someone close to Charlie that wanted exactly what he had. Any guesses? And lastly, the motive could have been the attempt to cover up some sort of internal affair. It was said that shortly before his death, Charlie was looking to do a financial audit of TPUSA. Maybe someone knew that Charlie would find something. Our next suspect is Israel/their intelligence agency, the Mossad. This has been a popular one, and for good reason. They have all the same motives as TPUSA. Charlie's changing stance on Israel/Zionism, possible financial consolidation of what they viewed as theirs, or covering up something that Charlie knew about them. The Mossad is known as one of the most advanced and efficient intelligence agencies in the world, so an operation of this nature would not be out of the question. They've done crazier things in the past, and will continue to do crazy things in the future. Our next suspect is the U.S. intelligence/deep state apparatus. This is a very similar case to the previous one we just talked about, and to some people who believe the U.S. and Israel are one, is the exact same case. Same motives, same means, same history of undercover, and frankly, illegal operations being performed on their own citizens. The last suspect for this main theory is a multinational intelligence team, possibly consisting of countries like China, Iran, Russia, Cuba, etc. This is the least likely suspect in my opinion, as the motives are not nearly as strong as the first threes. Their main motive would be to destabilize American society with the hopes of pinning us against each other and toppling the American empire from within. Like I said, I think this is the least likely scenario, as I've always been a firm believer that our most immediate and legitimate threat is not any other country or government, but rather our very own. Now, our next major theory is very similar, but not nearly as likely in my opinion. So this theory states that Robinson was the one that took the shot, but he did so under the direction, either knowingly or unknowingly, of one of the four suspects from our last theory. And the reason I think this is not as likely is the fact that the almost 200-yard shot that he would have had to have made was not an easy shot. And nothing we know about Robinson would lead me to believe that he had that good of a shot. I think it's much more likely that the person who took the shot was someone who was very experienced with guns and using them in active situations. Now, let's get into the highly exciting, dramatic, but less likely theories. The first one being that Charlie was killed by his mic purposefully exploding. Supporters of this theory like to point to the Israeli pagers story as proof, and I get it. But when really looking deep into the footage, it's hard to convince me that it was the mic. I'm totally open to it being something other than the alleged Mauser rifle that was used, but the exploding mic just doesn't cut it for me. Next up is a theory that Charlie and his family were a carefully constructed psyop meant to influence American culture, and his death was just the latest attempt at influence. I personally do not buy into this theory. In a similar vein, the next theory goes even further and states that Charlie Kirk never even existed at all, and what everyone saw that day was a highly advanced holographic projection. You be the judge of this one. And the last theory of the day states that Charlie was a real person, but he faked his death and is still alive to this day, a la Tupac Shakur. Once again, you be the judge of this one. So there you have it, the main theories around Charlie Kirk's death on September 10th, 2025. On the surface, they say it was just one kid with a rifle who planned it in a week and made a perfect 142-yard neck shot. But when you stack everything up, the weirdness leading up to the event and preceding it, the Mauser safety and scope that made that shot really hard for an untrained guy, the cameras getting yanked right after, the crime scene paved over before anyone could properly check it, the security hand signals, Mikey McCoy's quick walk away, and the weird medical response. Now, whether Robinson was a patsy like Oswald or he actually fired but someone helped him out, the official story has way too many holes. The real questions are, who benefited? Who has the means to make it happen or clean it up? And why so many basic steps got skipped or controlled? And that about wraps up the very first episode of the 99th Meridian. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. If I missed any theories, please let me know in the comments. I hope to see you next video, and until then, keep asking the hard questions. Gather your rosebuds while you may, and have a blessed rest of your day. Peace.